Here we go. All right, I'm going to start recording
Right.
now because I'm a cheapskate and I haven't paid for Zoom, so I've only got 40 minutes.
Perfect.
We're on a time. We're on a time limit. All
Yeah,
right,
no worries.
we'll start it off. So, if you're listening and not watching, then this is something a bit different. We're getting technical, and we've gone live. Well, not live, but we're doing Zoom, three-way. So
Menage a trois.
that's it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Me, Sammy, and Dave Willman. Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hello,
It's
gents.
lovely to be on. I was
Very
kind of a
good.
bit jealous every time. We talked about doing one like early on, but we're doing it finally. I'm happy.
I don't think we actually just didn't know how to do it, but I spent all
Yeah,
day
yeah,
figuring
that's
it
it.
out, and that's it. We should be good. So,
Yeah.
Matt, I guess just give us a run through of you and what you do, and know a bit about your work wise, and I guess with your Instagram and stuff like that as well, like for people that don't know.
Yeah, sure. I'm basically a foreman at the company that I work for, and I've been there for about 7 years now. So I'm probably in a position similar to what Sam is in your company. So yeah, it's been good, man. Like we do like quite big commercial projects, and I'm more on the commercial side. I can float between the industrial and the commercial, but for the most part, I stick to running commercial jobs, and we're doing projects anywhere. So I probably started in there at about the first big one that I got was about 300 grand, and then we've sort of been working our way up, and we did a $2 million hospital last year. So we're doing some pretty interesting work, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah. So
how many guys work there?
There's about 15 guys on the tools, and we've added there's a few extra people in the office now. So there's probably 4 in the office, including the fearless leader.
Yeah.
So yeah,
About
there's
same size
there's a
Yeah, I was going to say about the same size.
No, that's cool. And then I guess in regards to the Instagram world, you know, what are you most famous Sparky in Australia? Let's go,
mate. I am fumbling my way through that, and no one believes me. But look, when I started that, it's a funny story. When I was I've got 2 kids now. So my oldest is 4, my youngest is 2. I started my Instagram when my youngest was born.
Yeah.
Because I was playing I started playing like an online game when my youngest was born, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna need something to do on my phone, putting her to sleep and all this sort of stuff. So I'd started spending money on that like silly phone game. So I was like, pack this in, or I'll do an Instagram. I'll try and get some free stuff. Right? Yeah. So my goal from day one was build the followers as much as I could, do whatever it sort of took, and I was asking people and making moves and trying to do everything that I could to sort of get the follower count up. Yeah. And then sort of it took about a year, and about a year in, it just exploded. I went from 4,000 to 10,000 in like a month. I don't know what happened. I still, like, my missus could have bought me followers for all I know. And then from there, it's honestly on autopilot now. I don't do anywhere near as much as I used to. That first year, I was putting heaps of effort into posts. I was, doing multiple slides and then a big description on sort of how to do different jobs and all that sort of stuff. But then really what got it kicked off was just the tools. So I just started drilling in on the tools, and here I am. So I'm doing some giveaways. Yeah, just the tool nerds, man. And it's a big, they love it, man. So
I guess, I guess in it, like, what's mostly following, you reckon, like overseas? Because when you look at, I don't know, like most of the guys I follow that are doing, I don't know, the stuff that I'm more interested in are probably people from the UK. Like,
the English thing's huge. That English Sparky YouTube thing is massive.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a big consumer of English Sparky YouTube content. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. It's a problem we've all got. We might have a problem.
Yeah,
it was before I started Instagram as well. I've been watching like Tom Nagy, Nick Bundy, David Savory is probably a favorite of mine.
Yeah.
And I just love the potty mouth, and he's a genius. He's a genius potty mouth. I aspire to be like him. Give me another 10 years.
I keep getting the piss taken out of me because I listened to the electrician's podcast, which is on at 4:30 in the morning on a Monday.
Yeah,
the one that Jamie and Fat Sam do, and then and everyone's saying good evening,
it's good.
I'm saying good morning. So
yeah, I love that shit. They just have so much content over there, and sort of there's a bit of a void here. So I'm glad you guys are doing this. And then, you know, I mean, I've attempted to do like some YouTube stuff, but it hasn't really taken off. I put like about 50 videos up, and I've got about 2,000 followers roughly.
Yeah.
You know, and I did a lot of videos on that hospital as well. So just trying to, but it's very niche though. Like if you're not a Sparky, you wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. So I mean, I've got a lot of nice messages saying, "Hey, look, I mean, that video was particularly helpful for me," which is really nice. And those sort of messages, like even on Instagram, like it makes it all worth it, you know. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this is a waste of time. Just pack it in. But
I guess it's
I'm getting enough free stuff now. Like so.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it's all about. I guess it's like a fine line of when you're doing those videos as well. It's like, are you doing videos that are like showing Sparkies that don't know how to do stuff, or is it like people that want to do electrical work and do DIY and stuff like that? It's like the fine line of finding the way that you've got to do it in a way that you're still appealing to Sparkies, and you're not just doing stuff that anyone's just going to go, oh, I'll watch this guy do a PowerPoint, now I'm going to go put my own in, sort of thing. So it's like finding that sort of balance, hey, and being able to do good content. And it's hard, man. Like I look at Mikey from Residual Current, and like that's the level that I'd love to be able to put videos at it. I reckon it's so sick. I could watch that shit all day.
He's a genius videographer, man. Like he plays it down, but like some of the shots that he did, you probably saw the one where he did that spike for the he was testing a cable. And he had this he had this drone shot coming up, and it was just, I was like, that's unbelievable, man. Like
next level.
I asked him, I was like, man, have you done any editing training? He's like, no, man, I'm just working it out. I'm like, that's impressive, my friend.
Yeah, it's
very impressive.
Wow. Yeah. So, wow. Well, I guess like what we were saying, what we wanted to go on tonight, which is probably one of many things we could talk about, and maybe it will be, but we're going to talk about the lifting the standard within the industry, and I guess how it can be done from guys like you, guys like me, employees, employers, you know, how we can do that. And I guess like what we had a quick chat was with my things was I reckon there's like 4 brackets. It's like safety, workmanship, knowledge of standards, and testing. And then you guys both said the same thing, which was apprentice training as well. So I think I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the most important one.
Yeah, well, that's where it all begins, isn't it? So
I agree.
Start from the bottom, and then it's a hard one, because I guess if you like, where do you start with all that? And I guess if we're talking about it and you're talking about big companies, you know, are on another level compared to, I guess, us, the guys you work for, and then whose responsibility is it to be enforcing that? Because the way I look at it is I can put all these procedures in place, and then it's all onto the workers then to follow those procedures, if you know what I mean. Like I can give everyone a lockout kit, doesn't mean they're going to use it. So how is that enforced? You know what I mean, like that. So like in your guys' sense of things, what's the thing that brings that, you know, into play in the field, I guess?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that whole thing of like leading from the front. As a person who's in like, you know, more of a management role, then you've got to be the one who's shown to be doing that stuff, and that then reflects down to the guys below them. But I do get it is hard, because again, like you can be the one telling someone something till you're blue in the face. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. I think it comes down to what you and I have spoken about 40 heaps of times, of like the passion of wanting to do things well, and wanting things to be, you know, a certain way that you like, or just done really well.
Yeah.
And to stand back from like a finished product and be really proud of that. I think that, and I think you see that more and more when people have that pride in their work, and they see, you know, the quality of an end product. Then I think that it has the flow and effect of lots of things, and that it means that they're more focused on doing things in the right way, because they know that they're going to get that end product. So I think if you can show that, if you can, you know, show that doing something well means that you get a good end product, I think that is probably a big thing. It's something that I see anyway, or something that I've seen more recently. With our guys, definitely. If you can show them, the right way to do something, and you can show to them that it does, create pride and a good end product, then that makes them want to do it more.
Yeah, that's it. What do you reckon on your side, Dave? Like how you got like the safety that you guys have to go through? Is it like pushed on you guys pretty hard, or is it kind of, are you on like union sites or anything like that, or is it not of that scale yet?
No, we're not on any union sites, but in the industrial wing of the company, some of the sites are pretty full on with safety, and lockout tag out's massive, especially like we work at some industrial bakeries and a popular donut shop, and there's some pretty full on safety requirements there. And sometimes they'll have their safety health walkthroughs, and they'll pick you up on stuff, and it's all platform ladders, and which for a long time, I mean, I'm not a fan of platform ladders, but I can see why for the general population they're probably a bit safer. But yeah, man, it is pushed pretty hard, especially in the industrial sector, more than the commercial, in my respect. And for the commercial thing, like I've always pushed the guys, like just make sure if you're locking out, tagging out, especially commissioning sort of period, that's a pretty high. And I don't have any on me. I might go and grab them at some stage, but I bought like 100 of these little lockout dogs that just you can screw onto the breakers, so you can fit your board off completely, but then you can lock individual breakers off if they're not safe to go in the field, and it's physically impossible to turn them on, rather than having connectors in behind your board to isolate everything. So it's just little things like that, and it all adds up to the whole product.
Is your company supply you with lockout kits or not?
Not really. It's been recently we've had a bit of a push, because I think that incident with the guy dying in WA, that was a bit of a like I think we brought that up in the toolbox talk. And it sort of was like, all right, well, everyone should be locking out, tagging out. Does everyone know the process? And sort of everyone sort of does. Like I'll go through it with everyone. And like if we can segue into a little tool of the day, that's my most recent
the prove unit.
The prove unit. So I mean, I've run sort of everyone that I work with through that, just as the prove, dead prove, whatever the process is. You've got to sort of know the process and make sure that your testers work and all that sort of jazz. So it's I think the company culture especially is the most important. Like if everyone's on the same page and everyone's doing it, and there's a bit of time allowed for it, and in my case, the company that I came from before was very like rush, and sort of when I came to Intech, I was just surprised at how sort of laid back everything was. So, and that sort of calming sense was like, oh, well, we can take our time, do the testing properly,
properly,
tick all the boxes, that everything that you need to do. You have time to do it, and you're not like, oh man, I've got to get this next job, boss is going to yell at me. Like it used to happen all the time. So I think it's a top down thing, but I've definitely tried to help the young fellas implement as safely as they can.
I think that's a big push on our end. We've got a toolbox tomorrow where we're going to implement some new stuff, and like I was telling you, we did the NICA audit. So for anyone that's a NICA member, that it's a free audit they'll do for you, and they will go through 50 questions in like an interview, and it pretty much tells you where your business sits on the scale of 0 to 100%. Safety wise, you need 85% to pass. So, and
you aced that, didn't you?
We did good. We got 99.1%. So there was a couple of things we didn't have, which was the main thing was it was a hazard report document. So it's pretty similar to a SWINS, but it's something else. But they sent us a template for that, and we've already worked that through. That was yesterday, and we've already got that implemented now. So that's going to be in the toolbox tomorrow. So we're trying to just bring everyone across on implementing full safety. And it's so sad to say, but it's like the thing with the guy that died in WA, like it's the deaths that then make you realize we've all done it. We've all been complacent. We've all done stupid stuff that you shouldn't do. And I just want to try and make sure that that is something that never happens within my business. Like it can end your business, anything like that. So, and it's also about that, but like obviously someone getting hurt or worse, dying, you just never want to, like, if I can put anything in place to have that that done, like even a guy we know that we work around, another trade, had a really bad fall a couple months ago now, and like from not even the top of a 6-foot ladder, and he's not in a good way. So I think that was another one that sort of hit home in a way of like just some things you do that are a bit stupid. You probably know you shouldn't be doing it, and it could change your life forever. So just trying to reiterate that, I guess, on the safety front is something that's big, and if everyone gets around it, it'll definitely help change the industry in the right direction. Everyone wants to go.
I think what you said though is pretty important there. So about that complacency thing, I think it's like making people realize that what you're doing is dangerous. Because I think that was part of like what the last sort of podcast that you and I did when we started talking about testing, and when we were talking about it more, does sort of bring it to the front for people. And I think especially apprentices who are just getting involved, they might not sort of realize the severity of that. And I think it's important for them to understand that.
If you're not taught that, though,
what you're working with,
if you're not taught that,
that's right. Yeah, fully.
Yeah. And I think we were talking about the biggest thing, my biggest one, that is just the solar guys that are hiring apprentices, and just their whole labor team is apprentices, and all they do is solar, and they come out of a 4-year apprenticeship. They're not testing. They're not, like, I'm not saying that for everyone, but I just know from firsthand of people I know, and like, you know, we get a lot of apprentices that come to us with resumes saying that that's all they've done for the whole 3 years, and they know nothing like that, to the point where they don't even know how to put PowerPoints on the wall. So
it's not on, eh?
Nah, and then you can
scary thing, they're going to come out of their time, and then they're going to be out qualified, being able to do work. That's wild.
Man. That's where it's above us in making the industry better, because I know there's the things with the profiling saying that you're ticking it off, but no one checks that. I could just be running a company that only does LED light changeovers and hire an apprentice because it's cheap labor, and then just say, yeah, he does everything, sign him off. Yeah. And he's qualified, but all he's been doing is changing globes for 4 years. But as long as he passes his test, there's no actual like responsibility put onto proof from the employer that they actually are making them do that. Like whether the profiling was pictures, like on site of you actually doing stuff, I don't know. There's got to be a better way of doing it, because some of the people that have been coming through their trades and into the hey, didn't lose that one, did you?
Didn't lose that one, mate.
Into the industry it's pretty low quality, hey. So
well, that's my qualification in the UK was that was you had to
LED lights.
Yeah, just doing LED lights. Just doing LED lights. That's all I did. No, you had to provide evidence.
That makes sense to me now. It makes sense to me. You're right. Everything.
You had to provide photo evidence of what you'd done.
Yeah, right. Well, there you go. It's kind of
it was a lot more intense than that.
I think that makes sense. You know, New South Wales government. That's the new rules. Let's implement it. I think that's a good idea of a way of holding people accountable, because anyone can tick a box and say you've done it, but that's what we've got to remember.
I mean, who's not ticking off every column every time they're doing a skills tracker fill out? You know, like you got to get all the bars to the end. If you don't have them, it's your incentive is to tick all the boxes. Like even if you're not doing it, you don't want to not finish your trade because you haven't got one bar filled up.
Has anyone ever done the right thing though and gone not ticked all the boxes and got to the end and gone, yeah, I've just installed solar panels for 4 years?
Just quietly, maybe we'll have to cut this, but I mean, mine was just filled out, man. Like I filled it out, so it was all done.
Yeah,
my apprenticeship was pretty broad, but it probably wasn't like the full scope. I mean, I wasn't wiring houses up or anything. Like I was doing sort of maintenance more often than not. So I mean, doing big installs, it wasn't really part of my apprenticeship. So I sort of learned
my
that
original apprenticeship, crap. My original apprenticeship was crap. All I did was wire new build houses for 3 years. Yeah. That's all I did. We didn't do anything else. We did project homes for 3 years. So like it would be the same thing as if like a solar. That was literally what it was. You were like a robot.
I was
I
lucky.
had to test because I was like in the UK, and it's far more.
Yeah.
With so much more onto testing, so we were very lucky in that we knew lots about testing. But other than that, like if you put a motor, I never would have done any commercial work. It was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I guess so on the same like thing of that, like what's it like? And I feel like we're in our own bubble here where it's so different. And because I've only worked in Victoria and northern New South Wales, so it's kind of like up here seen as like country Victoria, even though it kind of isn't, but that's country New South Wales, sorry, but even though it kind of isn't, that's how it's located and seen, because we are actually so far away from a capital city, and Goldie is another state, so it's not really, and Brisbane's not really counted. But what's in regards to inspectors, anything like that your way, like is that prevalent? Because up here there ain't none. And I don't know if that's a New South Wales thing or what, but in Victoria, everything's inspected. So I just don't get it.
I think it is. I think it is a New South Wales thing. So I'm not sure on when or why it was removed as like a requirement to have inspections on sort of just every job.
Yeah.
But sort of as we said on the phone today, like having regular inspections, like you could be making the same mistake for 10 years
exactly,
and not even realizing that it's a problem, or it could even be a potentially dangerous thing, like you've been doing some earthing requirement incorrectly, and it could lead to someone getting hurt, and an inspector would be like, hey mate, that's wrong.
Yeah,
you got to sort that out, and you're getting a defect on your license, but at least you're never going to forget to I don't know, silicon seal up the back of the fire mastic up the back of a switchboard. Like that's one that almost no one does.
That's one of the biggest ones we see. Like it's like I don't know if we're the only people that do it. I don't know. Like it's like there's no boards, any boards we open aren't fire sealed or anything. It's like it's the little things like that I know would. No, it's strange. Like. But I feel like it would hold so many more people accountable if there was. But the plumbing up here gets inspected. Like the plumbers can't, the houses up here can't get sheeted until the plumbing is inspected. And I feel flooding a house, plumbing or someone.
It's not going to. It's not going to kill anyone, is it? Like it's expensive, but
wet your floor.
No. I mean maybe gas, but it's crazy. So I'm not sure why they do it. I follow a couple of electrical inspectors in Victoria. They're going around doing homes, and they every once in a while they'll post a little tidbit, and you're like, oh geez, that's something I'd need to start doing myself. Like I didn't realize that, but they're bringing the level of quality up just from being existing, essentially.
Which is what it should be. Like I would happily welcome inspectors like to be doing that, because it's like what we were talking about earlier as well. It's like when you get to the size we're at, you're probably paying a more premium price, but that's because we've got, and not by much, like we're pretty like relevant with how everyone's charging, but obviously we're different to a fucking one-man band charging $80 an hour. Do you know what I mean? So what do you get for that money? Well, you're getting a company that's like implemented all these safety features, like the training, everything like that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not to say someone who's a one-man band might not be the best Sparky ever, but have they got all the procedures in place? Like if something does go wrong, like whether it's like the correct insurances or anything like that, or like you're saying, like they might have been taught wrong 20 years ago and been doing the wrong thing for 10, 20 years, because that's what I said. Like I haven't opened one switchboard up here that has fire seal in the back of it.
Yeah.
So it's just little things like that.
Another big one is like, so non-RCD. So this came up in the hospital, right? Because there's all the RCDs in the field. If you've got a non-RCD protected cable in a wall, so say you've got a recessed switchboard, you need to have like a metal plate that's earthed behind the switchboard to protect the cable coming down into the board.
Yeah.
So it's one of those sort of like weird rules, but if it's a 90 mil stud, you have to have some sort of protection. So you can do like the steel anaconda with an earth gland, or it's steel plates in behind the wall to protect the cable. Because if someone screws in and hits the active, like freak, it's got to be a freak occurrence.
Yeah.
But if you screw it and hit the active and touch that screw, you're cooked.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's there's heaps of weird rules in the rule book, and I know you guys mentioned the Discord last week, but I mean the Discord's great for it. You can and I'm trying. When I started, I was trying to do a daily AS3000 post. I haven't really kept up with that. I've done about 10. It's been up for months.
There's some great ones in there. There are some great ones.
I think that definitely the fire sealant one is in there, and I think I put the RCD protection one in there as well, because it's just you're not coming across that too often, because almost every cable that you do is RCD protected, especially these days.
In regards to the fire seal, Voltex, get on Voltex. For anyone listening that hasn't implemented the fire sealing, or if the need of fire rated boxes, they got real good cheap range of fire rated products. So we get all the fire mastic from there. I think it's $8 a tube or something. Just keep them in the car.
That's pretty good.
It's good. And then
I went and bought them that from Bunnings today.
Their fire rated boxes are like, you bought some?
Yeah, whoops.
I've got fucking 20 tubes on the shelf, mate. This is the shit. This is the shit that kills me.
Well, I think it's $15-20 a tube from Bunnings, right?
Yeah, $8, man. So, $8 on Voltex. Yeah. And if they want to do a sponsor, let us know. We'll take it.
Getting onto Voltex, actually, because that's quite interesting, because we haven't really been into the Voltex stuff that much, Dave, but I've seen from the posts and videos that I've seen, you guys use quite a lot of Voltex stuff. Is that right?
On some of my private jobs, I'll use them. But I've tried to get Fearless Leader over the line with Voltex, but like especially for their connectors are my favorite connectors.
The Wagos
ever. The blue ones? No, not the
the blue one. Yeah,
just the blue.
Yeah.
Do I have one here? Yeah, I've got one handy.
Yeah,
look at me go.
They are good actually.
It's these ones.
Yeah,
because it's a big tunnel. The screws are nice and big. They're the best ones. I rate them. But
I just did a full stock order with them, so I just got a heap of brackets. And connectors. I got the fake Wagos, the Fagos, got all that stuff on the shelf. So gonna sort of trial all
actually that. I think their gear's very high quality, honestly. Like the
warranty.
We used to use and the warranty's perfect. They'll pay you to go back and fix it if anything fails. I mean, how can you can't go, like Clipsal won't give you that, so it's they're a good operator. I'm actually going to their trade show. It's in a couple of weeks' time in Sydney. So I'm going to go there and suss them out, do some Instagram fun stuff. So, but
running out of time. Update now. How do I do that? Should I do that? Or are we going to run out of time?
What? We could just stop and start again, wouldn't we?
I don't know.
Does that work? It's gaming the system a bit.
I'm being cheap. I don't know what I'm doing.
All right.
On the same thing then. So I guess testing is the big one. Like that's got to be the biggest. Like bringing people to accountability of raising the standard. How can you do that? You know what the funny thing is? A lot of apprentices probably test better than tradies because they're actually doing it at school. And then you leave school, and if you just don't do it again, then you probably got you got no idea. That's our big push now, is like just getting every single person so confident in it, like where they can just like from first year to tradie can do all the mandatory tests with their eyes closed. That's what we're aiming for.
I think that's great.
Yeah,
it's definitely the way you've got to go. And from our end, the biggest problem is time typically. So you're getting towards the end of a project and it's crunch time. Everything's getting fit off, and everything's going 100 mile an hour. You're doing big weeks. Well, when do you have the time to do the testing? Like it needs to be time budgeted into the project. And I recently just did a little showroom, and it was basically just me on my own. I had sort of an apprentice here or there, a couple of days, out of every sort of week. And I pre-tested all my cables, and then after the fact, it was small enough that I could do it on my own. It was about a month sort of job, and I pre-tested all my lighting cables, and the petitioners put 2 screws through 2 separate cables after the fact. And I had the test data there, and we were like, mate, the cables were in, you screwed through the cables. We ended up finding them. I had to pull some gyprock down. We had to, like, I mean, we didn't pay for that, obviously, because like I had the sheet there.
Yeah, covering your
ass.
Does
you favors. Yeah. It does you favors if you can do it. So
that's huge.
And then obviously going through, and you guys have the Metrol, but I've got a Fluke 1664, and it's got like an auto test button. You just hit the button and it will do the whole does the RCD test, insulation resistance, does the works with one button press, and it makes it so easy. Like it's so easy that you can't not do it, really.
Yeah.
And even especially lighting, I think lighting, no one is testing lighting ever, right? And I went through and tested all my lights for the little known one, but fault loop impedance. Like I was checking that the resistance was low enough that the breaker's going to trip within your 0.4 seconds disconnection time. And man, a couple of the circuits were way too long, and I ran another couple of circuits out to fix it up. You know, so if you don't have that time budgeted in, I mean, you might have a fault at the end of a long circuit. So one of these circuits, it probably would have been, with the loops and how I was running in the purlins, like it probably would have been 120 meters long. It's probably twice as long as it was allowed to be. Yeah. But you could have just had a fault like sizzling there for 5 or 10 seconds, long enough to get hot enough to start a fire. It's not, this stuff's like, it's in the rule book for a reason, and the rule book has 100 years of data to say that 0.4 seconds is the time that it needs to be. Otherwise, you can have knock-on effects. So
who holds you accountable for that? Is that your employer saying, is that mandated in your company, or are you doing that on your own back?
No, it's this. I mean, I probably push it harder than anyone else.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, I got that Fluke tester before my Instagram had blown up. But like for me, we were on, like, it was not a union site, but the builder was big enough that they were picking like RCD tests on some of our temp boards. They wanted ramp tests and trip times.
Yeah.
And I didn't have the meter to do it, and it bugged me so much that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to save up and get this meter just so I can have, and then it does phase rotation as well. So it's like the dual sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like as you guys know. So, it pushed me in the direction. And then, because it's so easy to test with this meter, why not? Right.
Yeah.
But there are other options too. Like you don't have to spend, $3,500 on a multi-function tester. Like you can do it all with, this was I bought this one on the, what's it called? Like the end of year sale that Fluke did. So this one came with a, like a free little clamp meter. So, I mean, I think it was about $1,400.
Is that the IR tester?
Yeah. It's the 50, sorry for all the people listening. It's the 1587 FC.
Yeah.
So it does insulation resistance, milliamps, like it does the works. Like this meter, honestly, if you're a young fella in the trade and you're looking to buy a good meter that will pretty much do everything, this is the one to do. Because even if you don't have a clamp meter, you can get the clamp attachment for this.
Yeah, right.
And I'm pretty sure it works on the millivolt scale, and it will just say how many millivolts. The millivolts equate to amps running through the cable. I watched a video on that a while back, but that's a great dual meter, and it covers you for everything, really. So yeah, I mean, it just, like, you need to have the equipment there, but then I think the main thing is the time. But your employer needs to back you up on it as well, because if they're not on board, like I'll throw my weight around a bit and say, mate, we've got to do this, and it'll be like, yeah, but someone more junior to me is not going to be able to do the same thing, which I've started noticing a bit more as I'm getting older.
Yeah,
you've got a bit more clout when you're a bit older, but someone that's 22 trying to say the same thing, it's going to be like, nah, man, just get out of there. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I guess that's where it comes down to you hoping that you can hand some of your, like, I guess, passion, you can say, like, down to passion and responsibility down to the younger guys, and that's going to come down to your ability to be able to train them. And like it kills me now because I'm not on the tools, so I'm not actually training our apprentices. And like when you see people that aren't going as good as they should or whatever, and it's like, fuck, what, like, why? Like, but I guess some people, if they don't want to learn or they don't have the passion for it, I feel like you're never going to be where you need to be. And like the guys that are good sparkies, and Jackson, who works for us, put this like perfectly the other day, like anyone can fucking run wires in a house, but only a good sparky can fault find, test, and fix fucking problems. You know what I mean? Like anyone can run cables and put lights up, but not everyone can get like a good sparky. So, which always come down to someone that's passionate and cares about it, can do the real shit. You know what I mean? Like, the technical, the testing, like the stuff that, that needs to be done. Which is, I don't know if that's harsh to say, but that's kind of how it is, really, isn't it? That's how I
it's
see
true.
it.
That is, you're not, I think that's totally correct.
At the end of the day, we're a technical trade, like the smartest.
You can train anyone to wire a house. Like you can train anyone to wire a house, but it's the difficulty of doing the things of actually, making sure that it complies is the hard thing. And then also the fault finding within that if there are issues. That's the hard stuff. At the end of the day, the basics aren't difficult, but it's making sure that they understand like the reason behind having all the steps involved to make you a better tradesperson, to make you a better electrician. And you should want
my first boss used to say you could teach a chimp to wire PowerPoints. Because I mean, sure,
mate, they're color coded.
It's like possible to stuff up.
That's it. Yeah. Well, that's the way it looks though. In domestic, they're like, oh, it's easy. You just fucking put the green in the green and the red in the red. Well, you know what? Yeah. Some sparkies still fuck that up. So
you need your testing to catch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So no, it's good. I think that's a big one. And then I guess if people listening to this are wondering how they can be better, or if my employer doesn't implement the safety or whatever, like I think starting with the conversation is a big thing. And doing it yourself. If your company doesn't have a MFT or whatever, like not saying that you need that to test, but just like implement it yourself, like be better, get the right test equipment and just start doing it, and hopefully everyone will follow, I reckon.
Yeah, I think so. If you show passion in something, if you show enough passion in something and you show that you're really wanting to do it, I think people will be stoked on that.
Yeah.
Because they can feel that there's that vibe. It goes back to what Dave was saying. Like it's, if you've got that sort of company backing and
again. Oh, we're back, baby.
Right. We're back.
All right, that was just every time to refuel.
That was really
Bill Gates needs his 50 cents or whatever.
Absolute cheapskate. How much does Zoom cost? I'm gonna have to buy it now.
Probably fuck all.
$5 a month.
The basic.
Not worth it. I'm gonna I'll just keep doing that. That's fine. Interval. I'll put a little ad break in there.
Yeah.
Intermission.
That's good. Where were we?
On to passion, I think. So I think if you're not passionate about learning this trade and you don't sort of go whole hog on it, you're not going to be a good sparky, because there is so much information that you need to take in to stay on top of the trends. All the new stuff that's coming out, like you guys have talked about, like automation and all that sort of jazz. Like if you're not on the cutting edge, you're falling behind. I mean, you can buy houses and, just do that. But if you're sort of in the commercial space and you're working, it's going to be lighting automation, like Dynalight, C-Bus, whatever. What's the other ones? The new one. Zen Control. Zen Control is going to be the new jam, apparently. So, and that integrates into all the other ones, apparently. So getting into that will be sort of, probably what the next gen young fellas should do and get into. So Zen Control. Think about that, boys and girls.
research.
I think like what you're saying though, like I think, but those kinds of things as well. Like for me, I want to know about those things because I don't want to get stale. I don't want to get stale and just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I want to keep pushing forward and doing new things. And I think that's why the electrical trade is great because there's always new stuff going on, right? Like there's always something new happening. There's always like new tools or like new exciting things happening. And I think that's why it's really interesting because there's always something new going on. There's always some new development or someone's like, you know, EV charging and all this kind of stuff. Like that stuff's interesting. It is interesting, you know, like the world is changing and we're at like sort of the cutting edge of that with the use of everyone wanting to use electricity to do everything. So
it's a good trade to be in. And I think I listened to a good thing the other day, which was quite interesting. It's like we sort of spoke about it the other day, saying the more passion you have, the more money you'd make as well. Is like one thing, you know, like because you're gonna strive to be better and move your way up the ranks of companies or whatever it is, or running your own business, whatever. Like obviously, the more passion you have, the better your business will be as well. But then in regards to someone saying, "Oh, it's like one of those YouTube podcast clips," and it was saying like the younger generation now is so focused on becoming a fucking TikTok star or something like that that the trade industry will die. Like if the people that decide to go into that will be doing real well because there's going to be sought after because, you know, it's like, oh, I can just dance in front of a camera, or do I want to go and do hard labor? Like, and everyone's going to be pushed towards doing the easy route, like, which is what humans are ingrained to doing, the easy thing. But then, you know, those guys that are going to take that path of doing a trade it's, you know, especially if it's something that's getting harder and less prevalent, then, you know, it's obviously more money to be made again.
The numbers are dwindling, aren't they? Like, I think the statistics are, you know, the generation, so Gen X and older, like I can't remember the exact figures, but it's something like 30 or 40% of the trade, and they're getting older. They're going to start retiring, and there's going to be a bit of a vacuum for sort of, you know, say the kids that are about 10 now, like it's going to be a great place to be in 10 years time because
technology wise,
technology wise, and just like there's going to be a huge demand for like competent tradespeople in, you know, 10 or 15 years time, because it doesn't look like the intake is where it needs to be. You sort of keep hearing that on the news and everything, but
if you think about technology in the future, it's driven by electricity. Do you know what I mean? Like everything, like, and now talk about the electric roads where the road will charge your car. That's already getting created. Like, mate, who wires that up? Sparkies, man. That's the thing. Like we're going to be at the forefront of technology forever. So the only way that's going to happen is from more people getting into it and being able to do it. Like, you know, plumbing isn't changing. Like those, you know, like those other trades aren't progressing, but electrical is. Like you can't, you're like, in regards to plumbing and stuff, you're not getting automated plumbing, and if there is, Sparkies are probably wiring it up. So there you go.
That's it. And look,
I totally agree with what you said, Dave. Like, I don't think if you aren't passionate, I don't think it's not the thing for you. Because like I've seen it, you see it. The people that aren't, they're not willing to continue on and keep pushing and keep learning more. Because like you say, I feel like it's constantly evolving, and if you're not learning all the time, then something you're not interested enough.
I think it's something I've opened my eyes up to now is like going to be a requirement of hiring someone, especially a new apprentice, is I'm not going to take on anyone that's not passionate anymore. Like, you know, and like it's hard to say to know someone that is, but I want a kid that is, you know, I put it like Georgia, for example, made her own Instagram, doing, like, to me that's passion. You know what I mean? Like someone that's doing that on the side and like building, like it shows that they care. Like that's someone
who's going hard.
got passion. It's the same with Kyle. Like, so the 2 first years we got, Kyle can go through a test board and do all the mandatory tests on the switchboard, and he's a first year apprentice because he takes in information and he cares about it and he loves learning, and it's like he likes to challenge himself. So, and he was so keen to start an apprenticeship. And it's like finding those, I just don't want, you don't want those people that are like, oh yeah, my dad told me it's a good thing to do, so I want to do it. Like, you want to find those people that are fully passionate. And then I feel like they're the people that will gel well with us, because that's what me, Sam, and that's how we are. And that's what we've got to be able to hand on to people. So, especially some of the other guys are exactly the same. Like, everyone that works for us is kind of, you know, got a mad passion for it. So it's good.
Yeah, and it all comes down to what we were talking about before. The culture is I think is the biggest thing then as well, because then that feeds into that. And everyone's sort of excited about what you're doing because the culture's there and encouraging, and I think it's a huge thing of having like-minded people around, because it's everyone feeds into that, and it continues to feed, and then everyone progresses because they've got that, they know that the backing's there and everyone's into the same, everyone's frothing on what you're doing.
Yeah.
I have apprentices ask me at the moment, like what, like I had George with me today, and he was asking me, like what projects have we got coming up? Like, that's exciting. Like, that's exciting that someone would be that passionate to ask you that wants to know, hey, like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing next? Like, what's coming up? Like, let's talk about like that's cool, and that's great to have those conversations, because it's like it shows that he's really interested and wants to know like what are we going to get into next. That's awesome. I love that.
It also makes you a prime contender as an employee to, like, if you want to put someone through like an automation course, who are you gonna choose?
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna choose the young kid that's like rearing to go, super keen. Like, that's the sort of person that you want as an employer. So, if you're an employee, you need to show that you're interested at least a little bit, like, to your boss, and make sure your boss knows. Like, say, hey man, I'm really keen on this. I want to learn this. It's hard though. Like, when you're a young kid,
to find that.
Your boss is like pretty scary. You think back to when you were 16, 17, and like my first boss was a big fat bloke, and mate, I was scared to talk to him, scared to ask him the time. So,
I don't think we have one of those, but it's not me. I'm not the big scary one. I'm the one that everyone asks for holidays and sick leave, that's for sure.
Yeah. And going back to like the automation thing again, like I have done jobs for this company in the industrial wing that has like killed manual handling jobs. There used to be in a few this big bakery where we work at, a couple of robotic systems went in, and we sort of helped. Like, we didn't install the robots per se, but we did all the cabling and got a lot of the backbone structure in place. And there used to be 30 people there, and there's like 5 people working there now because the robots do all the work. So if you're looking for a job that is safe from automation, being an electrician is it, because Sparkies are required to implement these systems. And especially if you get into robotic, you get into like mechatronics or anything, mate, you're absolutely set at the moment, because that's the way everything's going.
No, I think it's good, like having that Discord chat as well, like seeing all the guys in there that are passionate, especially seeing like the apprentices in there. Like, I feel like it's another level in there, man. Some of the dudes, like, there's apprentices in there that know more than me. Like, they got some fucking knowledge, hey. It's pretty cool. But the guys that seem to have all the knowledge are the ones that are like ragging on their bosses, like, oh, my boss doesn't do this, they don't know about this. And like, it's like, where are they learning that from them? What are they just flooding themselves with knowledge from elsewhere? Which is so, if so, like, fuck, that's epic. Like, man, that's going to make you so sought after to an employer that actually cares. If you're not I guess looked after, or prioritizing your own company, and you're in that way inclined of caring so much, like, be some good job opportunities out there for you when the time's ready, I reckon.
Definitely.
I definitely see that as such a good thing in there. Like, so much knowledge that people are throwing around.
I'm not sure how many people can be on a Discord server, but and like, I mean, imagine in a few years' time if there's like a couple of thousand. Like, I don't know how we can manage it then, but if there's a couple of thousand people on there,
as long as you can, you just want to keep dickheads out of it. Like, it's good that it's not big enough where if someone is asking a question, like you see those Facebook groups and someone asks a question and then they just get absolutely shredded, like you shouldn't be an electrician if you don't know that. Like, man, you got to think people come from different backgrounds. So
I think that's Facebook though. Facebook seems to be,
maybe
I think that's awesome though that you're breeding culture in that. That's awesome though that you're like that culture is being created, right? It gets away from like this whole sort of like idea that, you know, you're a tradesperson, you don't share your secrets, and you just like, it gets away from all that. Like we should all be sharing knowledge and encouraging one another and building those positive communities within.
Makes everyone better.
Yeah, 100%. Like I don't want to hold down any knowledge. I'm happy to give anyone anything, and I'll share my knowledge because I want to make sure that everyone knows. Because like I love being able to tell people that stuff. I love being able to figure something out and then tell someone that I figured it out, because that makes me feel fucking awesome. Because I feel like it was really hard. I figured it out, and now I'm really willing to share that knowledge with you to tell you how to do it.
And if someone messages me on Instagram and asking me for a rulebook clause, I will look it up for them, like on the spot. If I don't know it, I'll look it up for you straight away. Because you know, I'm like, I don't want to seem like an idiot. I've got to know my stuff here. You know, so I'll you know, I've got it on a PDF on the phone. So usually, like a cleverly worded word search will find what you're looking for. So it's pretty quick. Stuff the paper rule book. PDF's the way to go.
Yeah, you actually, that was something that I really took away from something. You had on one of those, you were talking about that, and I've used it heaps recently, and that's been super helpful. It is it is really helpful. Like you say, a cleverly worded word search in that regs book can pretty much find you the answer or get you pretty close, and then you can sort of root around and find it. So I think, that's a really good tip, especially for like apprentices and guys that, you know, aren't, I mean, fuck, I'm not, you know, as up on the regs book as a lot of people, but I'm willing to do the same thing as you, Dave. Like just try and find it.
I think it just comes with down to being confident in what you're doing. Like when you're doing something, like, you know, just going, I don't know about this. Like it's all in the fucking book, and there's one of the many books there is. We've got them all. I went through and made sure I got every single standard printed, and they're all in the shed. So if anyone,
you get them with your NICA membership, I'm pretty sure. Like there's some part of the NICA membership gives you access.
Yeah, not hard copies. So I've got them all printed in hard copy. So you know, like, mate, there's books that are fucking this thin, like 10 pages, and they're like $100 or something. Like some of it's crazy what they're charging, but it's like we've got
apparently the way to get around it is if you're like a Kiwi, right? The books are cheap. It's like $10 or something for each book. So I don't know I mean, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but like
so we need to fly
the price of the standards. Yeah, you can fly to New Zealand, buy all the standards, and then come back. You know, and it's like forget the plane ticket, mate. You're saving money.
Get them over the border.
It should I spent like $1,000 on books, and I got it. Came in the mail, and the package was like this big. And I was like, I thought it was going to be fucking boxes and boxes. They're like, mate, some of the books are tiny. I was like,
university textbook prices, aren't they?
And they're just like shitty paper copies. So
it's not right.
There's a lot to know though. That's the thing. Like even you start delving into, you know, there's like the full regs books on hospitals or full regs books on caravans or whatever it is, and like start reading off. Like there's.
Mate, if anyone has any questions about patient areas, just send me a message, because I learned that book front to back. You know, I read it about 15 times, and I hope everything's right. So you know, I think I got it right. But you know, we had engineers, and they weren't super helpful. But you know, at the end of the day, it was just me reading it, and you know, start to finish, that job was full on. Check my YouTube out.
Yeah,
random plug.
That's it. I guess for like future chats, like some other stuff we could go in on, like what's some sort of topics that you'd be keen to sort of chat about, you reckon?
I think as far as I'm concerned, like my main before Instagram, so we'll shelve that for a second, but I've been passionate about helping apprentices. So I think I've had 4 apprentices through. Like I've sort of trained or had a hand in training. That's not just me, but had a hand in training for apprentices start to finish in this company.
Yep.
So I've been here for 7 years now, and there's a couple that are close. Like, one got his license a few days ago. Congrats, Aaron. And there's another guy I think he's just waiting for the next round of capstones before he gets his license. So, man, that to me was what drove me along in the company. Like, ups and downs, everyone's got their ups and downs, but that was like, the silver lining for me. So now that I've got the Instagram and sort of the platform, I've got more apprentices, really, like, because there's a bunch of people that have been messaging me from, when I had, a couple of thousand followers, and they've been asking me questions. I'm like, mate, I've got all the time in the world. I might not answer, for 24 hours or something because I've got stuff or I'm busy or whatever, and I've got kids and whatnot, but, I'll always get back to you. So I've been doing that. That's like, that's my passion project, probably, apprentices and learn. I'll probably end up being a TAFE teacher, honestly.
Yeah.
I've thought about that for a long time, and if it wasn't so much more lucrative starting your own business than just being a TAFE teacher, I'd probably just end up doing that because
it's still good money. My stepdad's a TAFE teacher. He teaches electrical.
Does he now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they get good holidays, so holidays are good.
Well, he gets holidays, and then he works as a Sparky in his holidays.
See, there it is.
So, that's the money.
That's the good money, the double income. Yeah.
How good's that?
Yeah. So, look, again, I'm happy to talk about tools, anything testing.
Well, why don't we put it in the Discord and get a list, and let's do it again. And even if we do like I know it's hard to lock you in, you're a busy man, but even if we did like a 1 monthly or once every fortnight or something, try and lock in one for an hour every now and again. Let's put some stuff and put it out to the Discord, see what, get some topics, see what we can cover off. And then it's actually, we're talking about stuff that people want to hear about. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good little resource to mine, that little data mine.
It is.
It's got data mining.
It is.
So
sweet.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, thank you guys.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Good to lock in.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I've got to try.
Fun. This is my first podcast ever, and that's you right there.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'll zoom you in. Unplug this shit. There we go.
No, I'm gonna have to get some podcast stickers done, I reckon.
Definitely.
Stay tuned. Some tees, some hats, and some stickers.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to get a new logo done. We'll sort something out.
Someone, one of the guys in the Discord is like, "Oh, mate, have you thought about getting stickers for the Discord?" I'm like, "No." Are you feeling artistic? You can do it if you want, man.
What's it called? Discord. Just Discord on sticker. Fuck, how good. Sick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Well, guys. All right. Well, thanks. It's been awesome.
Thanks.
And we'll do it again soon.
All right, mate. Legend. See you guys.
All right. Cheers.
Lads.
All right. Catch you guys.
See ya.